Artist Sue Kwok came to the Broward Museum this week, and we had an interview with her.
And we have a recap of some of the homecoming events from last week.
And it's a very warm and humid afternoon here across Northwest Indiana, but a big cool down is in store. We'll have more details coming up.
We have that and more. This edition of 15 News at 5 starts right now. Thank you for joining us on 15 News at 5. I'm Colin Luft.
And I'm Heather Bricka.
Sue Kwok came to Valparaiso University Wednesday to talk about her cosmic light collection at the Broward Museum. We sent Natalie Vernon to get the scoop.
This is second time I'm showing at Valpo, and I've shown the first series of paintings in 7 years ago, 2012, and now this year embarks my 40 years of professional painting. And I have 3 exhibitions at the same time, opened at the same night, here at Valparaiso University and in 2 galleries in New York. So I feel very grateful to God to grant me these 3 show opportunities. But this Cosmic Light series, I have painted 40 of them. And this is my 40th year of painting, and celebrating that at Valparaiso University Broward Museum for the second time. And some of these, my beloved paintings, will be going into Broward Museum's permanent collection. So I feel like I have a real connection to this museum.
Homecoming 2019 kicked off with a bang with the Homecoming Barbecue on Friday evening, announcing this year's Homecoming Court nominees. It followed up with Saturday's tailgating before the football game that kicked off at 1 p.m. At halftime, Tyler Tanzimore of Kappa Alpha Psi Incorporated and Megan Williams, president of Black Student Organization, were crowned Homecoming King and Queen. Valpo football also retired the numbers of those who were the best to ever wear the numbers 80, Frederick Fuzzy Thurston and Gary Puet's number 71. Valpo fought hard, but the game ended with Valpo at 13 and University of Charleston at 19. Overall, it was a very exciting homecoming weekend for both the football team and alumni.
And the VU Theater Department will be putting on its latest production this weekend, and tickets are free for students. The play is sure to be an interesting one, as it involves newlyweds who encounter several hiccups. On their honeymoon, it is a comedy originally written by Neil Simon. The performances will be October 4th at 8 p.m. and October 5th and 6th at 2 p.m. As previously mentioned, tickets can be obtained free for students by showing your student ID at the box office.
And Earth Tones is hosting its 5K Run for Science this Saturday, October 5th. It is intended to bring awareness to scientific advancements that are leading the way to a sustainable future and support the well-being of the planet. You can register until October 4th for a $20 fee. Check-in will start at 8:45 on October 5th, and the race will start promptly at 8:30. All proceeds will go to Green Research, a local nonprofit.
We hope you're having a great fall. This is our first poll for this school year, so we want to know, what is your favorite fall Starbucks drink? Maybe it's pumpkin spice latte, B, salted caramel mocha, C, white hot chocolate, or D, some secret menu item. So head over onto our Twitter page after the broadcast to cast your vote at Valpo VUTV. We have 15 at 5 meteorologist Blake Harms in the studio today to tell us about the fall cool down happening soon. So Blake, how long till we get those cool, crisp autumn temperatures?
Yeah, Colin, I have a feeling Starbucks sales are going to be transitioning from cold frozen drinks early this week to more of the hot chocolate variety by later this week. But for now, it's awfully hot and humid across the area. Sunny skies here in Valparaiso. It's allowed the ground to begin its very slow process of drying out after a significant rainfall this weekend. Right now, 88 degrees in Valparaiso, 82 Michigan City, 86 in Gary, across the board. Mid to upper 80s, well above average temperatures here in the region. Radar is quiet, a nice change in trend here as opposed to what we saw this weekend, but there's a lot of moisture to work with. And as we head through the next 48 hours until this front passes through the region, we will hang on to a chance for some showers and storms. Coming up, I'll time that out for you and show you just how much rain we saw this past weekend.
Thanks, Blake. Coming up after the break, we will have a quick recap on the recent events that transpired in Washington, D.C. this past week.
And since the seasons have started to change, we'll be discussing seasonal affective disorder. Stick with us.
Knock, knock.
Hey, Blake.
Well, hey there, Sophie. Why the long face?
There's nothing good on.
Well, have you tried movies.valpo.edu?
Movies.valpo.edu?
It's free, and you can stream hundreds of your favorite movies like Baby Driver and A Star is Born.
Thanks, Blake. I don't know what I'd do without you.
Wait a second. I knew I was sitting on something.
President Trump had a face-to-face meeting with Ukrainian President Zelensky on Wednesday. A transcript of a July phone call where Trump pressed Zelensky to investigate former Vice President Joe Biden and his son Hunter was released. A rough transcript of that call released by the White House shows that Trump asked for a favor after telling Zelensky that the U.S. has been, his words, quote, very, very good to Ukraine. Whitney Wild reports from Washington, D.C.
The whistleblower complaint at the center of all of this is now in the hands of lawmakers here on Capitol Hill. They've had a chance to review that complaint, which means it will undoubtedly drive the questioning of the Director of National Intelligence when he appears before members in the House and in front of members of the Senate on Thursday. There are currently 6 committees who are already conducting impeachment investigations, but House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has indicated that she wants to keep the impeachment inquiry focused on this call between President Trump and the President of Ukraine. However, there is no specific timeline yet. House Democrats have reportedly said that they're hoping a vote will make its way to the House floor by October. The president is adamant that he did nothing wrong. He spoke with the press numerous times Wednesday, even sitting down for the first time in public with the president of Ukraine. He continues to say that his actions were appropriate and his words in that call were appropriate as well. In Washington, I'm Whitney Wild.
The season of changing can change moods. Now, one form of depression is called seasonal affective disorder. Seasonal affective disorder is estimated to affect 10 million Americans. CNN's Merk Wood has some helpful tips on how to combat these winter blues.
You may have heard of seasonal affective disorder, a type of depression that's related to the changes in the seasons. And it's more than just the winter blues. It generally starts in the fall and can last until the spring. One major cause could be a lack of sunlight when the days become shorter. This lowers our serotonin levels, which affects our mood. Another cause could be that those who suffer from this disorder produce too much melatonin, which makes us sleepy and lethargic. Symptoms include low energy, overeating, an increased need for sleep, and withdrawal from social activities. Less common is summer depression, which occurs in the late spring. If you think this could be you, don't worry, there are ways to combat it. Get outside to absorb more sunlight. Exercise every day. This is key in elevating your mood. Change your diet, and more vitamin D may help you too. Reframe your focus. Instead of dreading the season, think about it in terms of positives. Finally, see a professional. We can't always do it on our own, so don't hesitate to get medical advice. For today's Health Minute, I'm Meredith Wood.
Across Afghanistan, those who head to the ballot box are defying Taliban threats and risking their lives. They are voting for the country's next president. The Taliban have warned civilians to stay away from the polls and have promised suicide bombings and rocket attacks. It's not a hollow threat. According to Bahir Ahmad, Kandahar provincial spokesman, Afghan security forces found 31 improvised explosive devices in different parts of the city on Saturday morning. Authorities either deactivated the devices or cleared them by detonation. The U.S. Embassy in Kabul tweeted its support for the national poll that had been twice postponed. Quote, "We stand with voters across Afghanistan who go to the polls today to strengthen their democracy in the face of threats and hardships. Through their vote, citizens are the power in Afghan elections," end quote.
Now, the saying goes, a picture is worth 1,000 words, but how many Lego bricks is it worth? It's a strange question, but at first glance, but not to the Lego brick artist Nathan Sawaya. Valerie Castor reports.
An exhibit assembled by the king of Legos is calling Queens home for now.
These hands built everything you see right here.
Brick artist Nathan Sawaya brings his world-renowned exhibit, The Art of Brick, to the New York Hall of Science, featuring more than 100 sculptures, the world's largest display of Lego art.
I want people to come see this exhibition and hopefully be inspired to, explore a little more creativity in their own lives.
Creating this exhibition is a massive task. Sawaya needed more than 1 million Lego bricks.
Venus de Milo, 18,000 bricks. The Mona Lisa, it's about 4,000 pieces, 8,000 Lego bricks.
For those art history replicas and many others, Sawaya does extensive research.
I have a lot of photos of the original laid out.
But when it comes to his original pieces,
this is yellow, probably my most iconic piece.
He lets his creativity roam, unafraid of restarting.
As I'm building, I'm actually gluing as I go. So each individual brick, I have to put a little bit of glue down, and if I make a mistake, that means I get a hammer and chisel and have to break it apart.
While some smaller pieces take only a few days to complete, others take weeks.
Well, I'm 6'2", so it's a little taller than me.
This 20-foot-long T-Rex required 80,000 Lego bricks.
3 months of nonstop, everyday working.
His exhibit has traveled to every continent. The New York Hall of Science fought hard to get it here.
And every experience that we put on here, day in and day out, is about giving you a chance to find that bit of creative spark.
Creativity that you can find in every Lego brick.
And while it's not set to snow in the Valpo area soon, it snowed in Washington. Well, George Gash flew in from Scotland to visit his son, and he experienced Washington's early winter wonderland.
Never seen snow in September.
George Gash is visiting his son Stephen this week. Gash is from Scotland and tells me he never would expect this kind of weather.
Seen it on the news this morning, it was coming, but some photographs to take home to Scotland, they'll not believe you.
Yeah?
They won't believe you.
Stephen tells me he and his dad are surprised how quickly the snow came down.
It's really quite snowy. At least, it's and it's fluffy as well. It's like a couple inches.
The two of them say they couldn't resist the chance to get in a quick snowball fight in September.
Can't believe it.
Yeah. And we're going to have a story to tell the kids when we get home. They're going to be kind of bummed out.
For the father and son, it'll be a lasting memory. One George tells me he'll take back with him when he leaves for Scotland this week.
You see, it was seen snow in Seattle.
And the two of them say their only regret is they didn't plan a little better.
We're only sad that we didn't have the sleds with us.
Coming up after the break, Blake Harms will have your full forecast.
And we'll take a look at this past week's Crusader Sports. Stick with us.
Spark a new idea. Spark a desire to learn. Spark a passion for exploring the field of STEM as we go beyond the final frontier and explore the latest in virtual reality and artificial intelligence. We will play with robots and maybe make a mess or two. For the show keeping you up to date on everything in the world of science, technology, and innovation, join us Friday evenings at 7 p.m. on VUTV Channel 15 or online at valpovutv.org/spark.
Cool and rainy weekend. We are starting off the week with some very hot and muggy conditions here across the area. Big changes are on the way, though. We'll have a front that arrives midweek. Big cool down in store for the later half of this week and into the weekend with fall-like conditions approaching. Take a look at some of these rainfall reports since Friday. Seneca, Illinois came in as the grand winner here with just over 8 3/4 of an inch. since Friday. Valpo not far behind, over 8.5 inches of rain. Almost said snow because these look more like snow totals. Most of that fell between Friday afternoon and Sunday morning, so very significant rainfall. Fortunately, we get a chance to dry out here in the next few days. We have very warm and humid air mass moving in. This is our 24-hour temperature change. We're 19 degrees warmer than we were at this point yesterday here in the city. 28 degrees in Minneapolis, but see this area of cooler air mass that's going to be pushing its way into the region here, particularly by Wednesday evening. Take a look at these dew points as well. As I pointed out earlier, very humid air mass to work with. Moisture is going to be a concern here for renewed flooding risk, but most of that should stay off to our north here in the next few days. Here's those flooding alerts. A flood watch here. Flash flood watch is all the way up ahead of this system, but Valparaiso is not currently under any of those. Again, most of the significant rainfall for this event is expected to stay north of Chicagoland, which is a welcome sight for those who saw a lot of rain this weekend. As we time that out, notice most of these significant totals off to the north. I do think we're going to see some rain, but I don't think it'll be anything close to what we saw this past weekend, perhaps a half inch at the very most. Nonetheless, could renew some of those flooding concerns here, especially since the ground is so saturated. We do have a chance for severe weather as well tomorrow, but again, that's also off to our north of a line from Chicago to Kalamazoo. Isolated damaging wind gusts or large hail report is possible. Radar's quiet right now, not much going on. A big change from this past weekend. Temperatures, though, awfully warm as we time that out. By tomorrow morning, most of us will be waking up to lows in the low 70s, which is very uncommon for this time of year. Through tomorrow afternoon, we'll stay very warm, mid to upper 80s for some locations, in the 70s, but notice this cool down that moves in by Wednesday. That's when our temperatures will begin to come crashing down. For tomorrow, muggy conditions continuing, mid to upper 80s for highs, increasing clouds throughout the day, and your 7-day forecast shows those warm conditions for one more day. But notice by the end of this week, we'll see a high temperature near 60, much closer to average, in fact, a bit below average. So hang on, hold in there, hang in there, whatever, however you say it. We're going to see one more day of muggy conditions and then finally get some relief.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that Wednesday cool down.
Yeah, I think we
really
all are.
seems like summer.
Yeah, one last push to summer.
These are not October temperatures. Well,
nope.
Thanks, Blake. After the break, we will have a recap of this past week's Crusader sports.
Have you seen Jack? I don't know how to tell you this. I saw him, but he was with Tracy. They were watching movies.valpo.edu.
What were they watching?
It's impossible to say. With 100 titles from Get Out to Riverdale, they could be watching anything, anywhere on campus for free.
Homecoming week was upon Valpo Sports, and it brought lots of action last week. We start with men's soccer team playing at home against Evansville. What a game this was. The men's team was down 1-0 until the 77th minute where Dylan Wagaman scores on a header. But Valpo wasn't done yet either. In the 81st minute, Aiden Garcia scored to give Valpo a 2-1 lead, and this goal would end up being the game winner in an exciting comeback. Women's soccer fell to Missouri State this week 2-1 in their Missouri Valley Conference opener, and they look to get back on track Saturday when they head to Indiana State. Volleyball opened up Missouri Valley Conference this week at Loyola, but lost the game in 3 sets. Women's tennis was in action on Saturday at home against Huntington. In the matchup, Valpo won with a 7-0 sweep. Great work, ladies. And of course, with homecoming week comes the homecoming football game. And this week, Valpo was in a matchup with the University of Charleston. And in addition to it being the homecoming game, it was also the celebration of the 100th anniversary of Valpo football. As we mentioned earlier, 2 jersey numbers were also retired at the game, Gary Putz and Fuzzy Thurston. Valpo would end up falling in a hard-fought battle, 19-13. The Crusader football team will be back in action next Saturday against Drake.
Well, thanks, Colin. After the break, Blake will have a final look at the weather.
Spark a new idea. Spark a desire to learn. Spark a passion for exploring the field of STEM as we go beyond the final frontier and explore the latest in virtual reality and artificial intelligence. We will play with robots and maybe make a mess or two. For the show keeping you up to date on everything in the world of science, technology, and innovation, join us Friday evenings at 7 p.m. on VUTV Channel 15 or online at valpovutv.org/spark.
Hot and humid conditions across the area. Upper 80s right now in Valparaiso. Flooding alerts extend from the Mexico state border, all the way up to Wisconsin. Flooding risk mostly to our north. 7-day forecast shows one more day of humid conditions before a major cool down in store. Highs in the 60s come this upcoming weekend, so big cool down the way.
Looking forward to it. From all of us at VUTV, thank you so much for joining, and we'll see you again next Monday on 15 News at 5.